Introduction to Spread Matrix. The spread matrix provides you the ability to view market data for multiple instruments and the spreads between those outright instruments. Use the spread matrix to view market data and quickly enter orders for all contract expirations of a product in a single screen. By using the spread matrix and a floating order entry window for active spread trading, you can trade all outrights and calendar spreads for a single product. You can also use spread matrix to view market data for the instruments of two different products and their associated spreads. From an interproduct spread matrix, you can dynamically create synthetic spreads and trade them with Autospreader. The spread matrix displays outright contracts across the top and diagonally. The spreads are displayed in the middle of the spread matrix where the various outright contracts intersect. Now this is an example of a single product spread matrix that I've already created. Because of lack of liquidity during this time of this video, which is about 6:45 p.m. California, I'm going to bring up the screenshot here and just go over a couple things that I want to just show you here. So you can see this particular bubble here. Outright contracts are displayed along the top and diagonally. Spread prices are displayed where the contracts intersect. So you can see there's the January crude contract. There's August. You can see the spread there. Here's where an example where white identifies a contract in the first year and red the second year and so forth. So you can see these red cell boxes are distant contract months. Each cell shows the best bid and offer price and quantity per contract or calendar spread. So that's the best offer price, that's the bid price. That's the offer quantity, that's the bid quantity. So you're going to see that displayed in each one of the cells within the spread matrix. This here will indicate orders working at the best inside bid or offer price. So you can see here in this case, the yellow box, $49.99. You can also use the arrows to scroll through the matrix to display contracts at the top and diagonally, which is this little arrow keypad that you see here. Left, right arrows scroll along the top, up, down arrows scroll diagonally. You can also have the tabs to display a matrix for multiple products using the same screen. So if you just want one spread matrix open, but you want to be able to tab the tab between different spreads that you've created within the spread matrix, you can go ahead and do that from the tab function. This right here will indicate orders working away from the inside market at this price. So you can see at 48.83. At the bottom of each spread, you can see a net position in the contract. So in this case, short 1 between the May crude and November crude spread. And this is just a quick screenshot that I wanted to show you where there was actually activity happening for these particular spreads. So I just want to be able to show you that particular chart and go over what each one of those displays mean. Yellow basically indicates a working order at the best inside market price. If you see an orange cell, an orange highlighted cell border indicates a working order away from the best inside market price. If it's gray, that will identify calendar spread contracts in the matrix when you hover or click on the spread prices or quantities. And other colors such as white, red, green, etc. Cells with contract names are highlighted to identify each yearly period for contracts. The spread matrix shows the prompt month, then lists the next 11 months after that month for each contract year. So typically white identifies contracts in the first year, red identifies contracts in the second year, green the third year, and so forth. So if you're going back to my actual spread matrix in live data, it only goes out to September 2017, mainly because I have a limitation with the demo environment that I'm currently using, so it does not allow me to pull up contract months outside of 2017, so I do apologize for that. But typically, as stated, they will list the next 11 months after the month, the front contract month. So that's typically what would happen in a normal live environment without that restriction. Opening spread matrix for a single product. You can open the spread matrix widget the same way as opening any other widget. When opened from the widget menu, you can also add a tab with any exchange listed product. On the exchange listed tab, click search for a product to show the search box and Market Explorer to launch spread matrix for a single product exchange traded spread. So here's a basic example how to open up a spread matrix for a single product. I'm going to go ahead and close the existing one that I have. I'm going to click on the widgets menu tab here. And I'm going to simply go down and search for spread matrix, which is right here. And now you can see there's 3 columns. We'll go over each one. The first one that we're covering is exchange listed. So this is representing when you use TT Web Platform, any exchange recognized spread, you can go ahead and search or explore from the exchange listed tab. So in this case, that's the Autospreader tab. That's a custom tab. This is exchange listed. So this is an exchange recognized spread. This is not a synthetic spread. So what you'll do is you can either hit search for a product, You can either use the search box or you can simply use the Explore button, whichever is easier for you. So in this case, I'll just select September Mini S&P. I'll hit select, and now you can see the contract has been added. Now I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and now you can see the spread matrix has been created for a single product. And you can see it's added all the contract months outside of September 2016 all the way up until September of 2017. So it looks like it's giving me about a year out. All right, so actually it seems like this, from what I stated earlier, 11 months would probably be more in relation to commodity contracts such as crude oil, but since the Mini S&P only trades quarterly, it only basically rolls 4 times a year. So this is actually correct. So it's actually 1 year from the front contract month, which is correct. So that's pretty much how far out it's going to show on the spread matrix is 1 year out from the front contract month. If you're trading an indice product, pretty much that's only 3 months outside of September. Or better yet, it's a year, but it's December, March, and June, as you can see. Opening an interproduct spread matrix. So you can also use the spread matrix to display market data for multiple instruments of 2 different products and all of the associated spreads between those instruments. You can use the Autospreader tab to use previously defined 2-legged Autospreader spreads to populate a spread matrix. Or you can also use the Custom tab if desired to use synthetic spreads that do not already exist. All right, so let's cover the Autospreader tab. Let me go ahead and just close out this single product spread matrix. Go back to widgets. I'm going to select spread matrix. And now instead of going exchange listed, we're going to go to Autospreader. So this is where, if you're familiar with TT Web, you're creating synthetic spreads. So these are basically non-exchange recognized spreads. So you're basically synthetically creating the spreads yourself within the platform. And when you do that, typically you'll create them within the Autospreader from this function here. All right, now I won't demonstrate how to create it in this video, but this is typically where you would create the Autospreader, and then here are the list of the spreads that I've created, which are synthetic spreads. All right, so now, as I mentioned, you would go to Widgets, Spread Matrix, and then this time you would select Autospreader, and then this little drop-down menu here is going to then show you the available synthetic spreads that you've already created within the TT Web platform. So to use an existing Autospreader to populate a tab in the Spread Matrix, just pretty much hit the drop-down menu and select the spread and click on that spread. And after selecting the spread, click OK. All right, so a very basic example here. I'm just going to go ahead and click the E-mini spread that I've created. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And there we go. So that's the Mini S&P versus the Mini NASDAQ. As you can see, just keep in mind the Autospreader tab only displays synthetic interproduct spreads. If there are no interproduct spreads created in Autospreader, this drop-down will be empty. So that same drop-down that I just shown you a moment ago, if there's nothing listed, that means that you haven't created a synthetic spread. Therefore, there is nothing to add in terms of a synthetic spread within the spread matrix. All right, now we're going to go over to the Custom tab. So the Custom tab will allow you to populate a spread matrix with 2 different products when there is not an existing auto spread comprised of legs of the 2 different products. So let me close this out real quick. We'll go to Widgets, we'll go back to Spread Matrix, and this is the 3rd tab. So instead of, we've already covered Exchange Listed, which is Exchange Recognized Spreads. The Autospreader is basically spreads that you've already synthetically created, perhaps using Autospreader prior to using the Spread Matrix, so therefore it's going to be listed in this drop-down here. However, if this is empty, let's pretend that you have not created any synthetic spreads, and therefore you would like to create them using the Custom tab, you can go ahead and do that from within the Spread Matrix itself. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're just going to simply search for a product on the front leg product. So you will notice there's two legs here. There's a front leg product and there's also a back leg product. All right, so I'm going to add a very basic example. I'm just going to go ahead and click on search for product. Very similar concept. You can either type in the symbol or simply hit the Explore button, whichever is easier for you. So for example, I'll just do 6E, which is the euro. And we'll also do 6B, which is the British pound. And now you can see those contracts have been added for both the front and the back leg product. All right, now you're going to go over to your spread settings, and this is up to you as the user to create whatever settings you wish to implement in order for you to create your spreads. So for example, the ratio, what this is going to do, this will indicate the quantity of each leg in relation to the others. Negative sign typically before the number indicates a short leg. Values entered into the ratio field do not affect the spread price. The multiplier, however, will weight the value of the leg price to calculate the spread price when using the price differential formula. All right, just keep in mind, though, the multiplier, it could be a whole number. It could be a decimal number or a fraction. fractional representation optimizes ticking accuracy from my understanding. An example would be a spread multiplier of 0.33333 displays as 1/3 in the tick information section. All right, so I'll leave these settings as is. I'll leave it to you as a user to set these settings. Just once you've made those adjustments, then all you would need to do is go ahead and click OK. After choosing your legs and then setting your settings, simply click OK. And now you can see your custom spread matrix has been created with the legs and the ratio and multiplier that you've chosen. Creating spreads in spread matrix. So using the Autospreader functionality in spread matrix, you can create synthetic interproduct spreads by simply opening an MBTrader or order ticket within the spread matrix and then entering an order, or by using edit spread setting in the spread matrix context menu. All right, so to create a spread by entering an order in MBTrader or order ticket, what you'll simply do is left click in a market data cell for a spread in the matrix to open your default floating order entry widget, whether it's an MBTrader or an order ticket. And also a tip, you can also right click in a market data cell for a spread in the matrix, click open in the context menu, and simply select MBTrader or order ticket to populate. All right, so let me show you real quick how to do that. Let's start with the first method by left clicking in a market data cell for a spread to open a default floating order entry widget, whether that might be an MBTrader or an order ticket. All right, so what basically this means is, if you notice, this is the best offer price. This is the best bid for this particular spread between the December euro versus the September pound, and that's the offer quantity, that's the bid quantity. So if I left click on either the bid or the offer, watch what happens. It will by default open up a floating order entry widget. So I've already set within my global settings for my floating order entry widget to be an MBTrader by default. However, by default, if you don't make the change, it automatically opens up an order ticket. Just real quick to show you if you want to change. So if you don't want the MBTrader to populate when you click the market data cell here to populate a floating order entry widget, you would rather have, let's say, an order ticket, just go to Edit, Global Settings, and then you'll see right here order entry, the tab here on the left side. You're going to see an option floating order entry style, and then you're going to see MBTrader or order ticket. So by default, it's set to order ticket. If I hit save, watch what happens now. Instead of an MBTrader, you can see now it pulls up an order ticket. All right, so it's personal preference. The main thing is going to Edit, Global Settings, Order Entry, and changing it from here. So I personally like the MBTrader, so I'm going to change it back to the MBTrader. I'm going to hit save, and now the floating order entry is defaulted to the MBTrader. So here's an example of how to create a spread by simply entering an order within the MBTrader or order ticket from the floating order entry widget that I've just demonstrated. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on an empty data cell here, or better yet, the market data cell. So it's going to populate the MBTrader in a couple seconds here. There it is. All right, so this is a September euro versus a September pound spread. So I'm just going to select a quantity of 1, and I'm just going to place a limit order away from the market here. So now the order is placed. The floating order entry widget goes away. Now watch what happens when I go to widgets and I go to Autospreader. You can then see that that spread has been created. All right, so that's what it does automatically. So what I've just done is I've created the spread without actually going into the Autospreader and creating it by scratch. All right, so it's basically a shortcut way of getting spreads created within the spread matrix versus going to the Autospreader and synthetically creating those spreads by using that particular widget. Another way of creating spreads within the spread matrix outside of placing orders on a floating order entry widget would be by simply right-clicking in any market data cell within the spread matrix and then just simply go into Edit Spread, as you can see here. All right, so when you do that, what that's going to do, it'll pre-populate what the spread is within the spread matrix, and you can go ahead and change your ratios, your multipliers. You can change the different strategies that you want implemented within this particular spread, and that's another way of creating a spread within the spread matrix, just by simply right-clicking on a market data cell and simply going to Edit Spread. You'll get to this menu option here and just make your changes accordingly. Make sure to apply and save it so it actually gets created. Now keep in mind, the Edit Spread setting is only available for synthetic interproduct spreads or spreads created via the Custom tab in Spread Matrix. After you configure the spread settings, if needed, click Save. And if desired, you can also change the spread name to a user-defined name. After saving the spread, it appears in the Autospreader Manager. So For example, if I were to right-click here and go to Edit Spread once again, I make my changes. By default, that's what it's saved as. As you can see, the ASE 6EU6-6BU6. So I've already placed a trade. Therefore, this particular spread is already created. But if you want to change the name, you can go to Widgets, and then you can go here where it shows Autospreader, and then you'll see the list of different widgets that you've already created. So there's the one that we were just working off. So if I check it, so now I can go ahead and make changes to it if I wish. All right, so you can rename it. You can just click the edit button here, for example, which is that little, it almost looks like a little pencil icon. It's yellow. And then you'll see here you can go ahead and change it by simply erasing the existing text and just typing in the new name of what you want to name that spread. Once you've done that, just make sure you apply and save the changes. So I'll just call it, for example, today's date. And I'm going to hit apply and save. And now, okay, so therefore I have working orders on this particular spread. So that's a good example. You can't make changes when you have working orders on the spread. Let me go ahead and close this out real quick. And let me just use a different example. Let's just go to this bond note spread here. And I'll call this today's date, for example, 7/25. Hopefully I don't have any working orders on this spread as well. And there you go. So you can see that that has been changed to today's date. So that's basically how you get into the Autospreader. If you've already created a spread within the spread matrix, that particular spread will be listed within the Autospreader. And you can go on there and make your changes, whether you want to delete it, whether you want to make modifications to the multiplier ratios, or if you just want to simply change the name of the spread. Now the cool thing also is once you create the synthetic spreads within the spread matrix, you can also launch interproduct spreads by using the search or explore toolbar on the top left corner of the platform. So the spreads you create using the Autospreader functionality in spread matrix can be selected as an instrument. And so let's say the one that I just demonstrated where we changed the name to today's date of 7/25/2016. Here's a quick way of me accessing the symbol. So if I just simply type in the spreader name that I created, so 7/25/2016, you can see it's there now. It's actually there as an instrument. And you can just go there and just search for whichever widget that you want to create for it. All right, so it's pretty cool that you can do that, whether you want to open an NB Trader or if you just want to simply maybe make changes to the spreader itself. So this is another way. Once you create that synthetic spread, you can easily search for it within the search bar just by simply typing in the name of that spread. Once you do that, it'll auto-populate on the bottom here, which you can see Autospreader, and now you can see the spreader is created. So if you want to go here and make changes, you can go to Edit Spread. It takes you right back to the properties section of the Autospreader itself, and then you can go ahead and make your changes accordingly. Using tabs in the spread matrix. After adding a product or spread, you can click the plus sign to add another tab for a product. You can also right-click each tab to rename, remove, or copy a tab in the spread matrix. All right, so pretty straightforward. Let me go ahead right here at the bottom. So if you want to add another tab within the spread matrix, just go ahead and click the little plus sign to the right of the existing tab. And let's just say I'll add, so right now we already have the euro, so let's just say I want to add the pound. So this is a single exchange listed recognized spread. All right, so now we have a secondary tab created specifically for the British pound. This is the euro pound spread. This is a single product British pound. So this is basically same market, different contract months. All right, so that's one way of creating an additional tab. You can also rename the tabs just by simply right-clicking over the existing tab, go to Rename tab, and just type in anything you want. So we can call this the Euro Pound, for example. Hit Save, and now you can see that's been changed. All right, now if you restore tab name, that just reverts it back to what that tab's name was prior to you doing anything. So that by default, it's tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, and so forth. You can also make copies of the tab. So let's say I want to duplicate this British pound tab here. Very straightforward. Just right-click over the existing tab and just simply select Copy Tab. And then it'll by default save it as tab 3. But you can see it's an exact duplicate of the British pound tab here. And I can go ahead and rename that BP2, for example. Hit Save. And that's an example of making a copy of the tab. So that's pretty much the flexibility that you have with the tab function within the spread matrix. Viewing market data in spread matrix. So you can easily configure the spread matrix to display specific contract months just by simply right-clicking in the matrix and select Choose Legs. What this setting does, it allows you to check or uncheck each available contract month for that product. You can left-click to uncheck, to remove months that you're not interested in displaying, such as serial months, for example. You can click the direction arrows to scroll through the matrix across the top or diagonally to view more contracts and contract periods as needed. Just simply right-click and select Save Legs to display the contracts that you want to view. All right, so here's a basic example. I'm going to go ahead and just right-click anywhere in the spread matrix, and then you'll have access to the spread matrix context menu. And then therefore, you're going to see Choose Legs. You're going to left-click that option, and then notice when you do that, there'll be these little check boxes within the spread matrix itself. So now, what you can do is you can go in there and check and uncheck whatever contracts you do or do not want to see. So if I have no interest, for example, in seeing the March 2018 British pound, then I can go ahead and uncheck that particular option. Notice that top one gets unchecked as well. So maybe I have no interest in seeing the December 2017 British pound, so I can uncheck it as well. And then once you do that, just right-click and then save the legs, and then what will happen is it'll update, and it will only display the remaining checked contract months that you left checked. So therefore, it gives you a little flexibility in terms of what contract months you do or do not want to see. And then in terms of the arrows that you see here, so for example, if you click the directional arrows to scroll, you can scroll through the matrix across the top or diagonally, or you can also use the up and down arrows to scroll up and down as well. So as I mentioned earlier, the spread matrix displays 4 pieces of market data for each outright contract or spread. The information is displayed in one of the 4 cells that make up a larger grouping. The spread matrix typically will display as price, as quantity, bid price, and bid quantity. All right, so let's take a basic example. This is the March British pound. This is the as price. This is the bid price, and that's as quantity and bid quantity. All right, so what the spread matrix will do, it'll calculate implied prices instead of using exchange implies, and displays the calculated implied data even when it's not at the best price. Implied functionality typically varies by exchange, which determines how the implied function works in TT. Another thing you can do as well, I've already demonstrated, is you can simply right-click in the market data cell for a spread to view the context menu for the calendar spread. So if I right-click, I can go to Open, for example. I can select an MB Trader, an order ticket, times and sells. I can open up a chart. So you have multiple widgets that you can open by simply right-clicking within the market data cell. Go to Open within the context menu and just simply choose the specific widget that you want to open of choice. And once you do that, it will simply populate. Entering orders in spread matrix. So using the spread matrix and a floating order entry window, you can also quickly enter orders for all outrights and calendar spreads within a single window for active spread trading. All right, so for example, to trade a spread, let me show you just by simply left-clicking on any of the 4 cells. So it can either be the as price, bid price, as quantity, or bid quantity. It does not matter which one. So let's just say if I click on the as price here, that's going to open up a September British pound contract. All right, let me just cancel out some of these orders that are already working. And this is kind of a bad example because this is a single contract. Let's open up an actual spread here. So there's the December bond, or better yet, December pound versus the December pound versus the September pound. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and just simply add a quantity. So here's an example of me placing a trade using the MB Trader. All right, so the MB Trader, we have a separate video for that. If you're not sure how to execute trades using the MB Trader, be sure to watch the MB Trader video tutorial. But in this case, I'm just going to simply left-click, let's say in the bid side here, at 0.0012. So if I left-click, the order is now placed. I can go to my order book, and now you can see the orders working in my order book, as demonstrated. And then also you can also manage and change the orders from within the order book as well. All right, so that's one demonstration of how to use the execution entering orders in the spread matrix using the MD Trader. Let me show you now with the order ticket. As I mentioned, you have to go into your global settings by going to Edit and Global Settings. If you don't want your floating order entry to default to MD Trader, usually by default it's actually set the order ticket, but I actually changed it myself to MD Trader since that's my preference. But this is what it is by default. So now if I go ahead and open up or click on the market data cell within the spread matrix, you can see now instead of the MD Trader populating, it's now populating the actual order ticket. So this is more of a straightforward approach. It doesn't give you depth of market like the MD Trader does, but pretty much you select your quantity, your price. You can use the up and down arrows if you wish, whichever is easier, what type of order, whether it's a limit or market, stop, and so forth, and then just simply choose and click the order of choice. So if I hit buy here, for example, now the order is working, and now I have the order and spread working within the order book. Whenever you place the order from initiating the floating order entry widget from within the spread matrix, after you place the order, that widget then goes away. Just want to give you a heads up. And as I mentioned to you before, when you do this, when you execute trades using the floating order entry widget function within the spread matrix, it automatically creates the spread within the Autospreader as well, as you can see. Managing your position in spread matrix. Your position displays below each of the outrights in the matrix, making it easy to see your position for all expirations of the product. Blue indicates that you are long, red indicates you are short, and gray indicates that you are flat. All right, so let's take a look at this particular spread matrix that I have created for a single exchange traded product, which is the ES, but I'm looking at different contract months. I have December, I have March, I have June, I have September as well, 2017. So if you look at the bottom, you can see there's these little gray boxes. These are where the positions will be displayed. So if it's gray as shown right now, this means that I'm flat. Watch what happens when I pull up a spread between the December contract here in September. I'm going to go and click on it. So I'm basically trading the September versus these. I'm going to go and select one. I'm just going to get into a market order here. All right, it got filled, and now you can see that I'm short the September contract and I'm long December. So you can see that instead of these positions are flat, which represents gray, and you can see here it's now displaying my short position for the September ES and my long position for the December ES. And to finish things off, let's just go over some of the context menu options, which you probably saw frequently throughout this demonstration. To access the context menu, just simply right-click with your mouse within the spread matrix, and then you're just going to simply see this is what we call the context menu. All right, so you have choose legs. Basically, choose legs gives you the ability to check or uncheck each available contract month for the product. After checking specific contract months, right-click again and save the legs. So if in order for you to save that display, I've already demonstrated that, but that's pretty much how you access the choose leg option from within the context menu within spread matrix. Save legs. So let's say I'm going to go and uncheck that, for example. Now that I've made that change, if I right-click again, now you notice instead of saying show legs, it says save legs. So that will then populate after you've made your changes. Now I'll go ahead and hit save legs, and now you can see it's eliminated that entire leg. All right, and then you have open. That's pretty much giving you the ability to open any of these four widgets, whether it's NV Trader, order ticket, the chart, or times and sales. And then last but not least, you have customized settings. If you right-click and go to settings here, you pretty much only have just one option, which is the show tabs option. Pretty much whether or not you want to see these tabs at the bottom of the spread matrix. So it's pretty straightforward. Just keep in mind anytime you make any changes and you want those changes to be applied to any other spread matrix that you open within TT Web, you have to make sure that after you make the change, just make sure you check set as global defaults here at the bottom, apply and save it. So therefore when you open a new spread matrix in moving forward, those changes will be applied so you don't have to go and make those changes each and every time.